Well, hey guys, Shanna Cramer here with Creatively Uncorked, filling your requests. You guys had asked a while back for watercolor pencil tutorials, and I figured, all right, it's time. Let's do a Christmas gnome in watercolor pencil. The tools that I have today are, I have a box of Prang watercolor pencils, and that did come with a brush, so that'll be necessary. I have these Prismacolor pencils, so maybe we'll get to see what the difference is between them. That is a pretty good collection there. And then I have these Inktense blocks by Derwent, and these I have used a little bit, and holy heckin' cow, are they bright. And these also dry permanently, and I don't know if that's something that applies to all watercolor pencils. I kind of feel like no, otherwise I wouldn't make such a deal of it. So we're going to make a Christmas gnome, and that Christmas gnome is going to have a widow nose. All right, so there's my nose, and then it's going to have a hat, a great big hat. So one thing that I'm noticing already that I'm not thrilled about is these need to be sharpened. You have to have a pencil sharpener to use watercolor pencils. All right, so here's a hat, and I'm going to start out drawing this a lot like a regular color pencil drawing. Let's see, the hat comes up, over. Same over here. We got some pretty good wrinkles in that big soggy hat. Okay, and then we have a beard. We'll get that next with, oh, what do we have for beard colors in here? There's a light gray. Let's try that one. Light gray. So we'll do a big, kind of a big old, this kind of a beard. I know most of them have mustaches too, but I think the mustaches are kind of awkward. We'll try this one and see how it goes. All right, back to that blue again. So now we've got the arms come around like so. Okay, and we can put those little mittens in there. See, you'll draw the mittens in. I know there are watercolor artists who actually sketch on their watercolor paper. They sketch out their initial drawing with watercolor pencil just because it blends in and you don't see it later. Where regular pencil, you're definitely going to see that. Well, if you draw it dark enough, you're definitely going to see it later. And I always draw it dark enough. So yeah, pencil lines are something that you're probably going to see in every single one of my watercolor paintings. Not deliberately, it's just the way it works out. Okay, it's got little gray footies. All right, let's add some detail. So this hat, I know is going to be blue. It's probably going to have some crooked little spines on it, or what do you call those things, ribs? I'll fill in some shadows between these wrinkles. That's a pretty weird wrinkle. We'll maybe change it. And this is my lighter color, so I'm not afraid to just fill it in as much as I want to. I know this little puffball at the end of his hat is going to be white, so we can start out with some gray. That's going to be the texture. Same with this little guy's beard. He's going to have a little gray beard. Should we call him Graybeard? Nah, that's a pirate name. And let's get on to that darker blue now. Okay. So this is my darkest blue. Let's see, I don't want to go too overboard in here. Oh, and if you're worried about me coloring outside the lines, you probably just haven't seen enough of my videos. Coloring outside the line is kind of the rule, not the exception. Okay, so then we'll get down here into these, right along those little hands, those little arms, round by the mittens. And I'm just sketching this, just kind of filling it in a little. Not all of it, of course, but filling in a little. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, back to my maybe lighter pencil, which is gonna be not very useful pretty soon here because I don't have a pencil sharpener. Look at it. So plan in advance, find your pencil sharpener before you start this. All right, so here I am, sketch done. And let's see, I'll get my paintbrush out because I know I'm going to need that. And what other colors do you think we want on that nose? He's got kind of a, maybe a pink? This is the only part of a gnome that has any color at all, and it's just kind of, I don't know, nose colored, which can mean anything, really. Maybe a little yellow, and I think maybe some brown. What do I have for brown? This, how about this? Well, I do gotta say, so far, the Prismacolor watercolors are winning for accessibility. I can just open up this tin, and here are all my colors right there. Easy to see, easy to grab. Or the prangs, I have to dump them out and then sort through the piles. Let's see. Okay, I've got a little water. I do have a couple of different ways to apply water to this now. I've got my mister bottle, so this can put a nice mist over the whole thing, which I'm kind of scared to try right now. When we get to the background, we'll try that. But for now, I'm just going to take my regular paintbrush, my watercolor brush, and dunk that in a little water. Let's go ahead with this little guy's nose. So just brushing gently right around the edge of that nose to activate that watercolor. Guess I could have put that shine up at the top of his nose, but it ended up at the bottom. That's fine too. Okay, as long as I've got that color on my brush, I'll kind of drag it along the bottom of the hat just for an added shadow. Rinse that brush again. I'm up to the heart on the top of the hat, and this is going to be just a little bit scribbly. And I want to leave a lot of white space because that is meant to be a white heart, the white puffball at the top of the hat, but it's gray. Okay, let's see what else can, oh, you know what? Let's fill in those little gray gloves a little bit. You don't have to fill in a lot, you can tell already just by seeing the nose. A little color goes a long way, so I'm just shading this gently with some circular little motions here on those gloves, and that's going to fill in nicely. Even down here, you see on the feet, I just kind of did a little cross-hatching sort of a line. And the beard, I still want the beard to be mostly white, but there's definitely going to be gray in there. I'll just come down to the bottom edge of the beard here, right under the mustache. Yeah, I'll get that line along the mustache wet and then start pulling down some color for that beard. Give it some beardy brush strokes. So my goal here is to get those lines to mostly disappear, and they're not going to go away completely. They just won't, because you drew them there, and that's how drawings work. You draw something there, it stays there. But I am trying to fade them a little bit at least. I could do that, right? Be sure to leave enough untouched paper so that you still have white in the beard. Okay, maybe this top of the hat is getting a little more dry. Maybe I can go back to that. So just dunking the brush in water then, coming back up to the top of the hat. Some kind of little circle scribbles on the top of that hat, right up to the edge. I'm staying mostly right around the edge, activating that watercolor pencil, and just giving it a good mix in. Okay, following along the shadow, and then back up along the bottom side. We'll do one section at a time here. That's really going to be the easiest. All right, rinse that brush. Coming back down to that hat, and none of it's going to be white. It is going to be dark, so I'll just kind of fill in the center with a scribbly clear water, and then that is going to help all of it. The blue will spread across all of it. It'll be fun. So if we want to come in here and apply any additional pencil, we can certainly do that. And we probably will. What the heck? Let's try a bunch of different techniques on this. Okay, I'm just kind of circle scribbling along the shadow parts. but I don't want to get too far ahead because these colors do have to blend. So then coming back up to the blank spots with clear water and just blending those edges. This is a hot pressed watercolor paper that I'm using for this, and hot pressed paper is the smoothest paper you can get, so you can probably see how there's really no texture to this paper at all. It's very smooth. And I think that works pretty well with watercolor pencil, because if you're really detail oriented enough to do watercolor pencil, you probably want your lines to be perfect and exact and smooth and blended beautifully. And that is a result that you can get out of hot press watercolor paper, just because it's so smooth. Hot press paper works really well for portraits where you need to have smooth skin. How's that looking? Yeah, I think we're going to have to come in for sure and add a little bit of darker color. That's fine. No big deal. We can do that. Okay, and now the last section of the hat. Now you can see how much pencil that I have on the paper and how dark it gets. So right now I've got a pretty, I would say there's nothing here that's too terribly dark. This is a pretty high key image right now. So if you want this to be darker, we'll do another layer. I mean, you could definitely sketch it that way in the first place, like the nose. I'm not going to do anything else to that nose, but you can see how I went over it a couple of times with a couple of different colors and then blended it, and it's definitely dark enough. Just thinking about that hat, I think I can use some purple maybe, but let's get the rest of the colors mixed in and then we'll figure it out. So back to that mustache. Very little water here because I want this mustache to be separate from the beard, and if I put too much on it, it won't be. All right, let's get into that outfit. Some nice clothing. He's got an arm, scribbling it enough now that I'm trying to obliterate the pencil lines. Not possible, of course, but I'm trying. Okay, so that's my kind of thinking when I go into this, is that I'm trying to cover up those lines, and that's just kind of guides my brush and how much I want to smooth out this painting. We'll get those little legs in there, and we'll be able to move on. I'm definitely seeing some areas where we want to come back for a second layer of some, just push that color a little bit. Okay, I've got some nice structure, some nice build up here, but it's definitely just way too light. Two little areas I have left, and right here on that mitten. I'll leave the line on the outside because it needs to be defined as a mitten, and then just scribble in that center area. Scribble in those little shoes. Okay, so that's not too terrible right there. That's a pretty good little Christmas gnome. Now let's give it a little bit more definition. So we have some light gray on that beard. We can probably come in here and take a darker gray. Dark green, lilac. Well, you know what? Let's try lilac. This looks dark gray to me, but that's green. What the heck? Oh, dark green. No, not that one. French gray. All right, let's do French gray. Well, that's pretty light. I was hoping for a darker gray. Well, this is black. I mean, it's about as dark gray as you can get. Just maybe if I just pencil it lightly enough, it'll be okay. So you can see what's happening now where I am putting the pencil down on water and then it gets really, really dark. So I'm not sure if I'm liking this effect too much, but I bet I would like it on the hat. Of course the hat's dry, so it's not doing it. That is okay. I have a lot of dark areas I do want to add though. So he's got some shading right down here under those arms on those legs, under the beard. So I'm just filling this in color pencil style, roughly. And then where's my brush? Uh-oh, there it is. And then just taking clear water, barely any clear water, and coming in and just giving it a good blend and mixing it. Now, because I was coloring on wet paper here with a watercolor pencil, it's not going to blend a lot. Because if you're using wet paper and you draw into that wet paper, it's bam, it's there. It's all it's going to do. Okay, so I've got those harsh kind of black pencil lines. Let's see if I can do something with that. Give it a good blendy blend. Yeah, oh, okay. Let's see how that beard turned out. We put some black on there to try and get a little bit more definition in the shading. And then over here we got some green accidentally because it was right next to the gray and I picked up the wrong pencil. But it is what it is. Actually, this isn't too bad. I really do want that hat to be a lot darker. Some of it's damp, some of it's not. Let's see, I've got a lot of different blues here, so why don't we try some? This one is Blue Franc, True Blue. Okay. Sounds fantastic. Every manufacturer names their paint colors differently, but True Blue? How do you know this is the True Blue? And I was saying earlier that I think I wanted some purple in here, so let's give that a try. Yeah, I got my shading. That's nice. Let's get some color, though. Well, lavender, I don't know if lavender is the answer. What do I have for purpley colors? Well, this one's just plain called violet, so that might do it. This one is also called violet. How about that? I'll do a little bit of lavender on these, on the beard, and what the heck, I'll do a little bit on those gloves. I mean, if you're gonna do purple, do it all the way, right? Maybe even put a little bit on that heart, the heart puffball. Up here in the highlights, maybe. So I'm just scribbling this on, hoping that it will blend, even though I know it's not going to blend entirely. It's still going to be fine. Another goal, oddly enough, is to switch colored pencils often enough that I don't wear one down and have to sharpen it. Let's go to the violets here. Okay, so we'll get those, a little bit of violet in those shoes. A little dark color, anchor them to the ground there. All right, back to the brush again. You know, I thought I wouldn't like colored pencil, or I'm sorry, watercolor pencil, just because to me it seems like it's a tedious, sort of a detail-oriented thing, and that's just not how I roll. But actually, I'm just using my normal, ordinary painting style with this, and it's fine. I guess you can do whatever the heck you want with it. I've seen people do very precise colored pencil paintings, and they're the kind that stress you out to watch because they're just so perfect. But no, it's not like that all the time. Clearly, you can do whatever the heck you want with it. I can paint in my fun little sloppy style. And yeah, no worries, no troubles. So I'm coming in here again, scribbling out these shadow areas. And I'm doing this separate from the highlight areas. Oh, there we go. So the highlight areas I'm kind of scribbling in separately. There we are. Because you always want to keep your highlights and shadows separate. They should be next to each other, but they should definitely be separate. Also, I'm finding out that going over the same area twice with a wet brush, you're going to have much better results the second time if blending that pencil in is your goal. So you see this, I'm going over it for the second time, and these lines are definitely blending more. Let's do some purple down in here before I put too much water on it. Okay, now we have I added some more lavender in a few different areas. I do want some more blue to come up in here. So I'll just scribble that on in up there. Paper is just slightly damp, but it worked okay. All right, back into that mustache. I added a little bit of lavender to there, and it is not blended. Into those gloves, a little more lavender was added there. Oh, that's blending beautifully this time, yeah. Very nice. Circular motion with that brush, and it's blending absolutely beautifully. Scribble on those shoes. I'll do this twice, because when I go over it the first time, it will activate that watercolor, and then when I go over it the second time, it'll blend in the lines a little better. See that? Okay. Now this beard on the bottom, I did add some shading to it down at the bottom. Haven't blended it in. I don't want to overblend. Gotta have some white spots in that beard. Let's punch it up. So these are the ink tints, which I'm a little scared to try. It's a dark color. It happens when you put water. Well, this is pretty much like a phthalo blue, it looks like. Yeah, that's going to be pretty powerful. Maybe we'll go back to this. That Derwent, that's really super, super power colors. I know I'm trying to punch it up, but there's a big difference between these color pencils and the Derwent color blocks. Okay. There we go. We'll go around those mittens one more time. I just want to set those off a little bit differently. And I do want to keep the cool colors going in this. I don't want to start bringing in reds or anything like that, which was an option that I considered. That beard needs to be set off a little bit more. And I think all I had for gray was either French gray or black, so... Here's the black. Yeah, that was really dark. I didn't really like how dark that was, but we need some definition in here. All right, well, I'm thinking that maybe red wouldn't be a terrible option, but let's just put that one on the back burner while we do some more painting here with the brush. I want those to see what I can do to get those mittens to blend in a little more. I drew super dark lines, and I did that on purpose, but now I want them to be not super dark. Well, let's see what we can do about it. Yeah, I don't know that they look so much like hearts or mittens anymore, but okay. What else is it going to be if it's on the gnome's hand, right? All right, I'm starting to think that if I could just blast it with a little bit of dark color here. What's this? That's black. I don't want black. Let's see. The dark blue that I didn't want to use. That hat has a distinct lack of impact, and I don't like it. I want this hat to stand out and say, here I am. I'm an elf hat. Pay attention to me. There, so I'll try to get some more punchy color in there, even around those little arms, some little legs, okay? Okay, I'll try this and see how this goes. Curious to see, because I know these Inktense blocks are, boom, powerful. They blend beautifully in the water, that's for sure. Holy cow, that's getting dark. Wow. That is a powerful dark. Man. I should have just gone for the Inktense blocks right from the start. Man, there's no fixing needed here. It's just boom. Done. You want color? Here's your color. I'm still getting plenty of shading. Keep doing that right on all the way down to the bottom. Scribbling those shadows. Give myself a little definition here on this little hat this guy's got. Yeah, the Derwent Inktense blocks, and I'll show you the label so you can see what I'm talking about here. Here it is. This is, they blend beautifully in water, and they are powerfully colorful. So of the three that I'm using today, this is the one that I'm most happy with. But I think I'd like to try some things individually, just to see. Because as it is, I'm just taking any random pencil and just scribbling it on, just seeing what happens. So I think I'd like to do a little bit more thorough testing on the Inktense blocks. Give it a little blend down those little arms. And I am rinsing out my brush and coming back in with clean water every time. Wow, that is powerful color. That is just beautifully blending and wildly powerful. Pretty happy with it, I gotta say. All right. Oh, and I did add a little more under this beard, but I think I'm going to leave it. I don't think I'm going to blend it in. I like the pencil sketchy look that it has right now. Same with on the end of that hat. I've got a lot of lines in here that I kind of want to scribble down. These are the black colored pencil though, and the black colored pencil just doesn't want to blend. Those lines just don't really want to calm down, so note for the future. Yeah, they won't blend in. See, they are just refusing to do anything. Yeah. So those black lines are going to have to stay there right where they are. So be it. All right. Well, I hope you've learned something. I know I have. And this is Shanna Cramer with Creatively Uncorked, testing out some different watercolor pencils and making this fun little Christmas gnome. Thanks for watching along, and I'll see you next time.